俺はルフィ、海賊王になる男だ。
It's a great day here at Kekfilet's YouTube channel. I'm your host, the Kekfilet, and today I actually have a video. I'm just doing the recap on the live stream that was for Europe. It was a kind of a last-second live stream. I knew they were going to record it and then post it, but then they actually were able to live stream it, which is great. Hopefully, we have the same thing in North America. And I do want to say, if you want to go watch this live stream and all of its games entirely, absolutely go to the description down below. There is a video and a Twitch channel. Make sure you follow that and give all the content creators on here and also the casters and the production team a lot of your feedback, because it honestly is really good. So just so you guys know how Europe works, I think there was 2,560 players. That means there's 12 full rounds of Swiss. After those 12 full rounds of Swiss, they will go into a top 64 cuts. Day one is just 10 games of just Swiss gameplay. And then day two will be 2 more games where they will finish out and then do a top 64 top cut, which will be tomorrow. And it was very early for us in America here to see this. It's very late for them now, but I'm just going to go over the games that are on the live stream. Again, make sure you guys go to that Twitch channel, hit follow, watch it tomorrow. And then hopefully we have something similar for North America. This is actually awesome to watch the quality of this production. So without further ado, I'm just going to skip through to the games. And we are here at game one. I'm actually going to skip through this very fast. Okay, so extremely fast. You're just going to get the short version of all these games. I do want to say in the first 2 rounds, there is no buys here. So it's kind of just... I'd call it just kind of fun games. All the people that got buys before were not on here. And what we're going to do is first Sakazuki versus Katakuri. And watching through this match of what happened in this game was essentially a lot of... he played out a brand new. He triggered a Paro Sparrow. He plays out a Smoothie. And basically... Sakazuki was able to just clear board the entire time, and I believe he used Volcano to lower Smoothie, and so basically remove Smoothie and Parasparrow with 1 single Lucci. And from this point on, 6 dawn on in the game, we had just swinging 7, looks at its opponent's life, keeps it there. He plays it on Satori, just really not a lot of pressure. It's basically giving him cards to remove. And he's just going to, do pot shots at this Katakuri. And again, I'm really skipping through this, playing down Borsalinos. The game ended up being somewhat of a just remove fest for Sakazuki for any card that was played. However... I guess I don't think this Gordon was removed, or this Gadatsu. A Cracker was then, cracked out there. And then they were able to use Ice Age. Ice Age has been a pretty big card today. Swings 8 at the Katakuri. He had to counter out of something like that. And really, it was kind of really difficult at this point for the Katakuri. Katakuri was playing a whole bunch of Smoothies. Hopefully they were able to get their 10 drops. So with that, the puddings came out, actually. And then I'm not really sure. I think the game just ended kind of abruptly after this turn. There wasn't a lot this Katakuri had in hand to guard away all of this, on top of, Sabo being a blocker here. They did get him down to 0 life, but he didn't really feel threatened enough to care about that. So... you just forfeited here, and then that was game 1. One thing I did like that they were doing is that they were talking about cards in between games and just really good high production value, trying to entertain the people watching at home, which is really good. So the game 2 happened to be where it's Sakazuki Giovanni versus Maximilian playing Katakuri. Again, kind of the same matchup we just saw before. This one was a pudding fest. I'm talking a lot of puddings were played down here and swinging in here. And Looks like Sakazuki was able to go first. I'm not sure if that was by choice or not, but going forward from this, it looks like he had decent board control, but then he swung with the Hina. He guarded out of the Hina, and then looks like he just actually let it die, and then he hit another trigger, getting the Parasparrow, Great Eruption, minusing the other Parasparrow, and then paying 4 for a Rob Lucci. Obviously, Rob Lucci's good. It's getting both of these out. He's going to be able to get a Pudding and a cost Katakuri, so he did get some value out of those Parasparrows, but you know, three costs being gone is annoying. So he ends up swinging 5, playing another Pudding, and then swinging for 8. And he's just trying to get rid of the Hina here. And as you can see, there's just a lot of Puddings on the field at this point. What is Sakazuki to do other than just play more Rob Lucci's? But actually, that doesn't come out. He ends up playing the Kuzan. A good timing for this Kuzan. So now it can deal with anything going forward. I think obviously playing an 8-cost Katakuri and putting the Kuzan to your opponent's life is a good idea, because then maybe it will get removed so quickly. But from here, I believe he Gadatsu'd, Marud, put a bunch of Dawn on Pudding. He swing 7 with Pudding here at the Kuzan. He does counter out of this attack to save the Kuzan with a 2k and a 1k. And then he swings again 5k at the Kuzan, and then just another 7k at the Kuzan, just trying to get this removed. Again, just kind of a Pudding fest going on here, looking at his own life. Kuzan finally falls, but it's kind of unlucky here going forward. He basically has to see good cards. He swings 9 at his opponent's leader. He has to look at how to counter against this, right? He has to counter out of this. So 2k, 2k, 1k is the scenario. It looks like he just gave exactly that. And then going forward with after that 2k, 2k, 1k, he swings for 7. He takes that, and then he actually triggers an Akaku Sovereignty, ditches 2 moms to gain another life. So, you know, that wasn't terrible there, right? He's able to do that. He plays down another Rob Lucci, getting rid of 2 of the Puddings that were on the field. And then he first swings. Oh, it goes to his turn. Does he just play a 10 drop here? And he plays the 8 drop, putting the Pudding to his life. But then he does swing 8k at the Rob Lucci that was rested, killing it. So he's able to kill a card and also gain a life in the process of that. That was kind of his goal there, right? He wanted to at least use the Katakuri. He does swing 8k. Let me see here. Well, how does he actually go about this? He swings 7k with the Lucci. It looks like he took the Lucci. He swings 8k with the leader, and he contemplates this just for a moment. He looks like he just took it. Does a Manchuri, grabs a Kuzan, plays the Kuzan, draws a card from that. And really, I don't really know what you can do to really stop all of this coming at you. I believe shortly he just attacked this turn, played down a 10-drop Lin, and then he just swung, you know, perfect numbers, 9. You can swing 9, 9, and 9 at your opponent here. He swings 5, actually, after the first 9 hits, so he's able to swing insanely huge on the next turn, which was GG's for Maximilian here, and Sakazuki getting another win. Round 3, we go here. It's Sakazuki versus Sakazuki Mirror, and Mirko Z versus Tom H. There was a lot of love for both these players from the commentators. So just to kind of skip through a lot of the preamble, right, and going through things, he does discard the Kaido going first, and it's kind of unfortunate. Like, going second in this matchup does make a big difference. Actually, I don't think you'd ever really choose to go first in this matchup. I think Sakazuki going first is actually pretty good, so it doesn't matter too much. He does play down the brand new, getting exactly what he needs to see, and then I believe he picks up a Suru to kind of just go quickly through this game, however, right? What ended up happening, this player on the right, Tom H, uses Sanji's Pilaf, kind of a Pilaf build. He also uses Kaido, so he uses both, as you can tell here, which is pretty strong. And so what ends up happening here is a little bit of a Rebecca Hina Lucci fest. That was kind of the main thing that was going on later in this game. When they were both at like 2 or 1 life, it was just Rebecca Hina Lucci, Rebecca Hina Lucci. They're not at this point just yet, but let's see here. He plays down the brand new. He uses a Borsellino, just kind of an even back and forth of just removing cards and swinging basic numbers at your opponent. And, you know, using Hound Blazes. They're utilizing their Hound Blazes to the fullest right now, right? While attacking, and they're still taking lots of damage going forward. And he takes this one, he goes down to 1 health, and when you go down to 1 health, it's pretty scary, to be honest, with a board that's this wide. But you absolutely need to, you know, Rebecca Hina Lucci your opponent's board. But the thing is, Tom H, with his draw build with these Sanji's Pilafs, he actually ends up going really far down in cards. Playing things like Suru eventually eats up your hand a little bit. So it looks like Brand New was able to do this. He was able to use Hound Blaze with Brand New, attacking with Sakazuki as well. And he does do a Rebecca and picking up a Hina, playing down the Hina, and playing down that Rob Lucci in order to remove the entire opponent's board, which, again, I kind of already spoiled it for you. The opponent does the exact same thing the following turn, literally. Rebecca Hina Lucci, throw 2 down on leader. Like, because I guess he just probably had, like, a Lucci and a Hina in hand, or Rebecca and Hina in hand. So some combination of those, right? And, you know, what else to do against Rebecca Hina Lucci than your own Rebecca play down Hina and Lucci, right? So from there, he swings 0k at the Manchuri. It looks like he guarded out of that because it was just fine. He plays down his own Lucci, but he does lose with the Borsellino, swinging 6k at the leader, and he's like, yeah, you got it, dude. I know you got 2 attacks, so I have to block out of this, and he didn't hit any counter. So and that's just how that game went. That was game 3 of this 10-round first day. Going into game 4. Now we're going to go into game 4. This game 4 was a Nell versus a Nell. We have a Dennis M versus a Lorenzo Z. They're both 3-0 at this point. And just kind of skim through the game. What ended up happening in this game was somewhat of an interesting back and forth. There wasn't like a whole lot of high rolling going on. There was a holy that came down, and he did keep 4 Dawn open. He didn't even play a card on his 4 Dawn turn. He just left 4 Dawn open because he had nothing to do. And it's kind of a funny thing. When you're playing against a Nell, you actually want them to discard the cards. So they're willing to take 5s, but they're not attacking each other at all. They don't want to hit triggers. It's a very smart way to play against this. And he ends up playing a Nola, kind of a spicy 5/7 card for the Sky Island yellow. And then he ends up playing a Shirahoshi to sort of unbrick his deck, and then doesn't attack. Going over to the other Nell player, he does swing 7, and he does hit the Shura off of his life. And from here, he plays down an Ohm, gets a Holy, and he doesn't even attack with his leader. He's just attacking with the Nylon. And goes 8-cost Katakuri. He puts the Shirahoshi back onto the top of his life, which is pretty good. He's able to get the first big card out there. And then now he starts to attack here. He gets another Shirahoshi back out. Holly's here for it, you know, and Anel then swings at the leader. And then he actually guards out of that. And then going into Holy again. And he does go down to 2 life eventually with the Nylon swing. He does play the Gadatsu, getting rid of the 2 cost. And, I mean, he still can swing with this Ohm. Maybe he prefers not to because he doesn't want to put him down to do things. No, he puts him down to 1. He probably could have just swung 6 at him. If he has a Yamato, it's worth it for him to take that, right? So his opponent, I believe he's attacking his opponent's characters. Let's see here. It'd make the most sense for attacking opponent's characters. So he's going to go 8k at the most likely a Holly, yeah. And then he's obviously going to discard out of this. He's going to swing 8k at the 6k Ohm. And then you do Yamato's and Holy, and then gets a life. Right now, it's a Yamato fest of the ages that you guys will see here. And he's going to sort of start tickling it down his opponent. He actually swings 5 and then 5. Doesn't swing with a 7k because it's going to start getting blasted. He plays on the Yamato of his own in order to get rid of a low-cost card in his opponent's field. And now Dennis is just playing this game. He's being really smart with it. He's just going to play more big bodies, and eventually he can go for game at some point. So he swings 5 at his opponent and plays down an Enel of his own. And it's essentially the swing 5 with leader and then build a field. That's people's goals right now. And it's kind of funny watching over this gameplay, actually. So with that as well, I think Enel's thinking here now. He swings 6. He takes it. And I think he's just ready to put on the full gas going forward with this. It's his hands full. You know, he goes 9 at the leader. This is a super pivotal turn. Takes the 9. And from this, it looks like there is no trigger. There is a trigger. There's an Amaru. So he's going to go up to 2 life here with a Nell skill, ditching 3 cards. So he will activate the Amaru. He ditches 2 Buzzcut Mochis. Jeez. And leader skill. He gets a life and he must discard a card. And that was just like some 2k. But he's left with only 2 cards in hand now. And I think this is where the surprising turn was. He's like looking through his opponent's counter, what he can do. Obviously, he's going to attack, so he swings for 7. And he takes it, right? And he could swing for 9. He's kind of throwing his opponent off here, guys. The main thing you have to think about is how strong is Shirahoshi. Shirahoshi is so freaking strong. It's always, I think Shirahoshi wins more games than any other card in Enel. And I mean, like, attacking with it. So he goes 8k at his. Obviously, it's tough because he knows he's a 9k swing coming with the Shirahoshi. And it looks like he just took it because maybe he had no choice. Didn't get the trigger he needed. And then I think it was just pretty smart just playing around this. And he just kind of does a wild 9k. He's like, yeah, sounds good, dude. You got it. So that was a fun, interesting game to watch there. The next game, I'm just going to jump right into it. Game 5 of this 10-round day 1. And this was actually kind of a nail biter, I'll tell you guys. So Game 5 was Enel versus Nami. We're seeing Nami on stream, and they're 4-0 at this time. And I'm actually just going to skip through most of this game. This is a too long, didn't watch video. Things happen. Playing down cards, removing life, obviously giving the opponent life when you're playing down a Lin. It's what you want to do, but you're trying to get down bodies. He's playing down Gadatsus. So this is where later our opponent, Luis here, I would say made a mistake against his opponent, right? In this board state, okay? So in this board state, his opponent has 2 life, 1 card in hand, very few cards in deck. And so the main thing I'm thinking here is you just attack 3 times big with this one. I think, you know, the main thing he maybe is afraid of is him playing that Kaya down. But so what he ends up doing here is play down the Gadatsu to remove the Kaya. So he's missing out on 5 Dawn. And then he ends up swinging, you know, 7 and then 7 at his opponent again, which it looks like he just decided to not take that 7. He was able to Rubber Band of Doom and then immediately Deathwink. This is putting him down to very low cards in hand. You know, we can analyze this actually after this game. And he ends up passing turn, not even swinging the 8k at his leader, because I think maybe Zeph can obviously mill the 2 cards, but he has a Zeph in his hand anyway. He mills the 2 cards, and then he has a card in his hand to essentially counter out. So let's actually do a quick analysis on this specific turn. Does he have lethal? Knowing that he has a 6k counter in hand and a 2K counter in hand, and then potentially drawing 2 cards, which we know maybe one of them was a Zeph. So if he has the 5 Dawn extra, how does he play this out? I think swinging 7 is fine, right? So then, and he ended up taking it. So let's, I mean, he could swing 7 without playing the Gadatsu, correct? Right? So if he swings 7 here, his opponent takes it. I don't know what this card was. I'm assuming this is the trigger from, wait for us to tell, is a Deathwink, right? But if he's able to, he would have 7 more Dawn, and he goes 11, 11, or 11 and 12. He might still be losing here. Yeah. Yeah, he might still be losing here. So he hits this trigger to draw a card and discard and then mill 1. And then essentially, could he have just swung really big once at his opponent? I'm not entirely sure. I think possibly this Enel was losing anyway because of exact counter. It would have been like exact counter. If he waits a turn, if he swings only big once and then waits another turn, that's a potential, right, going forward. So, got it. Well, that's how that game went. The next round, which was round 6, it was Sakazuki versus Zoro, and I gotta tell you, this is actually a lot harder than you think it's gonna be, right? Zoro has a lot of answers, and other than this person, he's riffle shuffling his deck, like, you know, already a villain in my eyes if you're riffle shuffling. But Marco played well for this. He just swung really big, putting his opponent down to low. That's what you want to do, get him down to low, and then play things like Diablo Jambe or Rush Luffy, and you're able to punch through. So what ended up happening here is that Sakazuki was honestly comfortable. They removed every single card. They systematically were able to win this game slowly. Spoiler alert, he ended up seeing a Diablo Jambe to put his opponent to 0 life at some point. But what ended up happening is that the other Diablo Jambe was already bottom decked from a buggy. So that was already bottom decked a long time ago. So round 7 ended up being a Zoro versus a Charlotte Katakuri on stream. And it went, I don't quite remember how this went. It looks like obviously Katakuri was triggering quite well here. And, you know, playing down lots of Parasparrows. He's attacking into the Parasparrows. He's obviously guarding out of these. And it's getting, I mean, it looks like they were getting removed regardless with just Magura 6K attacks and things of that nature, you know, swinging down these Zoros. Honestly, this is a really good field for Zoro. But obviously Katakuri's going to be able to fight back going forward with this. Swinging 7 first at that. Swinging 5 at the Sanji, and playing down a Pudding. They kind of want to be the negative aggressor here, and you can obviously, oh my god, this cracker is actually really gross. It looks like Zoro is trying to also not attack life. They're attacking characters, and then, you know, they're able to play things back like Marco's. He gives a life when he plays down a Linlin. He doesn't take his own life for that. It's kind of a common thing people have been doing lately because they can close out games later. So maybe not in this matchup so much. So it looks like in this game, just looking at this board state, you know, he's too tall, right? When you have 10 Dawn, he has 2 Dawn active. This is absolutely too tall. You know, you swing 13 and 15 and with another 5. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. So, you know, he ends up making sense with that, you know, swinging, get a Maru, swing 7, 7, and looks like he just got the game from there, which Katakuri was able to come up on top with. So now we go to round 8. What they ended up doing is actually, I think, just finding anyone who's X1 who's not Sakazuki, and they pull up a purple Luffy, and Silvio, he got a love in Twitch chat, and James, you know, just as well. But this game ended up being a little entertaining, but I think Silvio pretty much played this game perfectly. And to kind of give you a little bit of a rundown, you know, essentially purple goes first. They're able to play cards down and got removed pretty early. And then they're just countering it out very efficiently here. and he ends up taking damage. This Urashima ended up being super pivotal. Essentially, he never really swung with it, but he's going to swing at his opponent's characters with it. And he's Purple Luffy just wants to set this up. It's a very hard matchup for Nell in general, right? Plays down a Poly, removes a Sanji. He goes to Tendon. He wants to set his opponent up to, you know, sort of cripple up here. And his opponent's, you know, his opponent is not even like at 8 Dawn yet. And he doesn't swing with the Urashima. He does 8 cost Katakuri, the Urashima, to life. And what ends up happening here is a long slew of game plans where essentially Purple was playing down blockers, but it was the back-to-back Kaidos. This was the big pivotal thing. He was swinging 12k at this Katakuri to try to get rid of it. He discarded every card in his hand in order to try to get rid of it, but these two blockers pose the most annoying threat for this Katakuri, where just unplayable, essentially, I would say, because 5-cost blockers are, you know, they can't get a Marud, they can get other things, right? But that's essentially it. And so, to give you the long story short, what ended up happening is that he played 2 Kaidos back to back and didn't even attack with leader when it mattered. So it's just Silvio played a very, very smart game. He ended up top decking Yamato, getting a life there. And he ended up living another turn, funny enough, hitting a trigger there. He actually discarded Yamato. He should have maybe kept that Yamato. And he could maybe get one more life. But honestly, like, what do you do against 2 Kaidos and a blocker? You can't, like, really remove the Kaido with an attack because it's just a blocker. And that's essentially the game. You know, he just kind of puts Dawn on, swings, and that's the game, right? Kind of looks like me. What do you guys think? So, round 9 of this tournament ended up being it should have been a short one, but they kind of played it a little bit longer and played a lot of extra turns. And that was Purple Luffy against Red Purple Luffy. And I don't know exactly how this match was supposed to go, but the Purple Luffy was a little unlucky with counter early, and Red Purple Luffy, I think, played this quite well, but Purple Luffy ended up seeing quite a bit of blockers. You know, they saw 9-gate on curve. They're both curving up really, really fast in this matchup, right? And Christos on the right here playing Red Purple Luffy just didn't see enough counter. And, you know, they kind of stalled the game out a couple turns here. Went through, I'm skipping through minutes when it was just a single turn. Again, Purple Luffy just swings everything 6k and then drops 2 5k, you know, 5k blockers. The blockers ended up being quite obnoxious, actually. So nothing else to do but just swing his opponent's leaders and at their characters to try to save themselves. And Christian ended up winning here with Purple Luffy. Now, round 10, we have both opponents. They're both 9-0. And it's a Nell versus a Nell, Gampy versus Florian F. It looks like Gampy was forced to go second. I'm not sure what's actually preferred here. And, you know, some measures were taken. People were attacking each other. I'm actually going to play this video in 2x speed, a little different than my other videos that I just did now. But this was actually a very interesting game and kind of shows you the patience required to play a Nell. And again, normally just taking 5k swings, they eventually have to get him down to 0 life, right? And plays down a 4-drop Sanji. And looks like he swings 5 at him. He takes that, plays down a Shirahoshi. Very common play is to play down a Shirahoshi, just hard play it, and that's very, very needed, especially Katakuri is going to win you the game most of the time here, by the way, the 8-drop, and it ends up putting the card back, the Shirahoshi's back into your life, so you can use it multiple times. So a very consistent late game deck with these Shirahoshis, and he even replies with the same thing. He swings 5k, he takes it and then plays on his own Shirahoshi and plays down even a Pudding, which gets him an 8-cost Katakuri. So this whole, I think Pudding does have merit in this deck to find it. I'm not sure about Parasparrows. I don't think I like Parasparrows at the moment, but things like Puddings are very strong. So with that, Nell, he does swing 5 and then does, whoa, he put Dawn on that. So he's going to ult first, get the Holly, and then places another Holly. So he doesn't swing 5. He actually almost did that. It would have been an interesting interesting whoopsie there. But he throws out a full wide board here and kind of giving him a wide berth. Essentially, this Katakuri, he does play down the 8-drop Katakuri, playing a Shirahoshi. Yamato, kind of funny enough, the Katakuri put him up to 2 life, so Yamato can kill a 4-cost. Kind of made it perfect for that. And, you know, with how this game is, you know, Gampy was able to put down his big drop down first, thinking if this is a big drop war, then Gampy would win if they just keep seeing more big drops. But honestly, the Holly into Ohm and Ohm end up being, you know, pretty impactful here. Just getting a few cards out of his hand, and he does, you know, guard out of these little 5k swings. And it's going to be a little bit of a battle back and forth of playing cards down here. And it, you know, these turns actually end up taking quite a while. So that's why I'm here watching with you guys here. He does end up playing the 9-drop, gaining a life, killing the Holly. And then he swings 7 with the Ohm. With Ohm, he decides to, I believe, he takes this one. And it's trigger blocker. He can play his own Yamato, removing that, obviously pretty strong. And then does swing 5 into this, so he can give him a 1k counter, so he doesn't have to worry about going down to 0. And then he just passes from here. 2 Yamatos out, very, very strong. And let's see how he answers this. It looks like he is swinging at his opponent's characters. He's swinging at his opponent's Ohm. And then he ends up swinging, I believe he has an extra Dawn here. Swings 6k at his leader. He takes it and then doesn't activate the trigger. He does pay 8-drop to play that down. Kind of strange you put him down to 1, but I guess if he doesn't have another Yamato or a 8-cost, then it's pretty obnoxious, right? And as we can see there, he does have that 8-cost. He does swing 10k at the Katakuri. This is where he starts getting cards out of his opponent's hand because he was able to build a field earlier. I mean, getting a card off the field is actually really strong. So he gets that Katakuri back out as well. And it looks like he attacks his opponent. This Shirahoshi, by the way, this one Shirahoshi was played 4 or 5 times on Gampy's side. The same Shirahoshi from Trigger. And looks like I'm a little confused. Did they guard out of this one? Oh, no, okay. Oh, I see. Okay, he just played another Yamato. You know, getting another Yamato, very strong. I think that's, you know, that solidifies a lot of things if you're able to play Yamato and get the value out of Yamato every single time. It's really strong. He does play down the 7 Lin. He gives a life, and because obviously going down to 0 would be really, really silly. So with that as well, he does play down a 8-cost Katakuri, putting the Shirahoshi in the bottom of his life. Good card of bottom life, actually. And then he's able to sort of... He has to eventually attack Gampy here. And Gampy does counter out and does hit the trigger here, actually, for Beige Capone. This is a good trigger to stop the Yamato, basically not putting Gampy down to 0 life. And for that now, essentially, the Gampy doesn't invest Dawn in attacking his opponent's leader. This is, I mean, characters. He actually is attacking his opponent's leader when he has, you know, 8, 9 cards in hand. And you kind of need to chip and kill these opponent's characters over time. And also have a way to keep, you know, I guess if you can put bodies out there, it's a body fest. And so that's what Yamato does too over here at Nell Florian. He actually plays a little bit more patient. He swings a lot of 10Ks at these 8Ks. And eventually they all die. And the 2 that are standing and even, you know, trying to deal damage to him, he puts that Shirahoshi down from the... from life again. Yeah, that's another counter. He plays down a Sanji because he has extra Dawn, and so he's able to, you know, counter out and save his Sanji. And I think he made a mistake the previous turn where he was attacking life and not the characters. Personally, but he goes here. He just swings at leader again. It looks like he swung 10k at a Katakuri, which he just blocked. And then he does start swinging again at this Yamato. This Yamato is going to die. That's sort of the unfortunate thing about this sort of play. So that Yamato does die after a few attacks. He swings 7th leader. He's going to take this. He gets another Shirahoshi, luckily, and even ditches some cards he doesn't want. Plays out another Sanji just for some security here. And again, he's like, okay, well, I kind of have to go for game, and then he can't go for game, really, because so he blocks that. He plays on another Yamato. Yamato gets another life out, and essentially they're kind of back at like they were a couple turns ago, but now Gambia has a lot less cards in hand, 2 cards in hand. He masks out the entire plan. Florian played the super well, swinging just 9-9-9-9, and then big ass at the very end with 14, and getting there at the end are 10-0 and Nell. There are still 2 more rounds, guys, tomorrow in the European Championships, and then after that's a top 64 cut, which I'm assuming they'll just do best of 1 all the way up to first place. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll try to have day 2s up tomorrow if I'm able to watch the stream and then do things with that. Might be a little busy, but thank you all so much for watching this again. Make sure you guys if you're liking the video, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and we'll see you all in the next one. Ciao.